Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Got my cheat sheet for today's MLB main slate for today on DraftKings. Before we continue though, I want you guys to leave in the comments below who your favorite batter is on the entire slate, no matter what price. If you want to pick a value guy or an expensive guy, it doesn't matter, just I want to see what you guys are thinking. And anyway, if you could leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new videos, I'd really appreciate that. You can also follow me on Twitter at ChrisPinell16. If you'd like access to my entire MLB sheet and my Slack chat, the link is in the description below for my Patreon. And also, NFL is coming up soon, and yes, I am doing NFL content. I'm going to be putting out a whole bunch of videos for that, so I'm very excited, and I'm sure you guys are too. So anyway, let's dive into today's MLB sheet. So at pitching, we have Justin Verlander at 12K versus Detroit, Julio Teheran at 8K versus Miami, and Adrian Houser at 5,200. I think he's a little interesting at that price. So let's dive into the pitching sheet to see why I like the guys that I like. So, and Max Kepler. My Slack chat's informing me that Max Kepler just now homered. So let's rejoice. All right. Anyway, so we have Justin Verlander up top at 12,000. He is obviously one of the best pitchers in the league. Elite numbers all around. 3.4 xFIP, 34.9% strikeout rate, which leads the entire slate by a lot, about 6%, about 5%. My bad. And walk rate's only at 5%. Now the only problem with him is he gives up homers and a lot of fly balls, 47% fly ball rate, but it's going against Detroit, and he just has elite numbers all around. 37% strikeout rate to lefties, 27% strikeout to righties. And if you look at Detroit's splits versus righties, it is not good for Detroit. It's great for Justin Verlander. They have a 26.5% strikeout rate, 149 team ISO, 283 team WOBA, 73 WRC plus. So the numbers just suggest him having a dominant game. He's got a 40-point upside in this matchup. He could even go a complete game shutout. I know Detroit's been somewhat okay lately, but they're still not a very good team. And then it's Justin Verlander. He's just amazing, and I think there's enough value on this slate to be able to fit him in. Let me mute that, sorry. Okay, so, and then at SP2, there's a couple options here. If you want to spend up, I like Julio Teheran versus Miami. Now, if you look at his numbers this season, getting a little lucky. 3.71 ERA compared to a 5.27 xFIP, but I don't think this is the matchup where his luck would run out. Now, he's got a decent strikeout rate at 21%. It's not amazing or anything, but it's not terrible either. He's got 11% walk rate, which is really the main concern with him. He's been very good versus lefties this season. Only a 102 ISO given up, 21% strikeout rate, 303 WOBA. A little bit worse to righties, but decent strikeout rate, 20%. But the thing is, it's the matchup versus Miami. He's pitching at home, which I would rather him be pitching in Miami, but Miami's just has no power. They strike out a lot versus righties. If you look at his numbers, a lot of green bars here. 25% strikeout rate for them, 124 team ISO, which is by far the lowest on the slate by about 20 points. 283 team WOBA, 75 WRC plus, which is right above Detroit as being the worst. So I do like Julio Teheran a lot. Now I know it's a lot to spend $20K on pitching, but I do think there's the value to do it. And there's another value option I don't mind if we want to spend down and get some more expensive bats, because the Astros bats are in a pretty good spot. So let's talk about Adrian Houser at 5,200. I think Joe Musgrove's somewhat interesting, but the Nationals have been very, very good lately. I don't think they're doing that good right now, but it's kind of concerning to attack a hot team. So he is really cheap, and he does have upside. So I do think he's on a short list for me. But let's talk about Adrian Houser at 5,200. He's actually got some decent numbers this season. His pitch count's been ramping up. He was like a relief pitcher, then it's been he moved to a starting pitcher, and now he's been throwing 90 pitches a game. 3.71 xFIP. That's pretty good. That's a lot better than most of the guys in this price range. 24% strikeout rate, which again is a lot better than most of these guys in this price range. 8% walk rate I can live with. Gets a lot of ground balls at 55%. Only a 25% fly ball rate. I do like that. Now, versus lefties, he is giving up a 264 ISO versus them, but that does come with a 25% strikeout rate, which I do like. He's been a lot better versus righties. 253 WOBA, giving up 119 ISO, 25% strikeout rate, only a 5% walk rate. Only a 12% fly ball rate and a 70% ground ball rate to righty. So I do like Adrian Houser at 5,200. I think he's got decent enough upside versus a Cardinals lineup who is not the best versus right-handed pitching. If you look at their splits, it's not like they're terrible, but We got light shades of green here, which I do like to see, especially this down low. 23% strikeout rate, not bad. 158 ISO, 306 WOBA, 87 WRC plus. I mean, they're not like the best numbers for a pitcher, but it's not the worst either, especially for a guy that's 5,200. We don't need much for value, and he's going to allow you to get a high upside elite pitcher in Justin Verlander, and then we get a cheap pitcher with upside in Adrian Houser, and that's really how most JPPs are won anyway, because you can stack the bats you want to. So I don't think Adrian Houser is a bad option. He's actually very interesting in my opinion. Then let's take a look at the bats that I like right now. Oops, it's my Slack chat. Okay. So at catcher, we have Christian Vasquez at 4,200 versus Drew Smyly. I know we've actually played Drew Smyly a couple times, and it really hasn't worked out too much, and he's actually was chalked both times. This is not the matchup to use him versus the Boston Red Sox. They don't strike out a lot. They got a lot of power to lefties, and Vasquez has been pretty good versus lefties this season. Now that has not been he was really good to start the season versus lefties. That's cooled off a little bit, but do like all the Red Sox in this matchup. And if Sandy Leon is playing, I think he's probably a better option because he's a lot cheaper. Robinson Chirinos, 3,500 versus Daniel Norris, who's a low strikeout pitcher, gives up a lot of fly balls. Houston is like negative 475 favorite in this game. It's 9 over under, so there's projected to have a lot of runs scored. Detroit bullpen's not very good, so I do like Robinson Chirinos or whoever's the catcher, Martin Maldonado, whatever. Max Stassi, 2,000 min price versus Mike Minor. Mike Minor's not the worst pitcher in the world, but Stassi's somewhat halfway okay versus lefties, and it is Texas, and he's been chalk every single night. I think he's 50. Last night it was 50%. I think right now he's 25%, which is on a 15-game slate. So I could expect him to be high owned again, possibly if you want to fit in some better bats. And catcher is always the position you want to punt at. And now I see that Sonny Gray's got bases loaded, so hopefully that didn't just ruin. Man, that suck. So anyway, first base, Peter Alonso, or I should say Pete Alonso, 5,400 versus Adam Plutko. Now, Plutko gives up a lot of power to right-handed bats. Pete Alonso's got a ton of power versus righties and lefties. Do like Pete Alonso here. He's really expensive, but I do think he's going to get a home run in this spot. Matt Adams at 4,600 versus Joe Musgrove. Musgrove, he's pretty darn good versus righties, but to lefties, he will give some power. That strikeout rate drops down a lot, and the walk rate bumps up. So I do think Matt Adams is going to end in a good spot. He's pretty good versus right-handed pitching. And Sam Travis at 4,100. I love using this guy versus lefties. I don't think a lot of people have realized that yet, because I remember last time when all the Red Sox were going against Ty Block, they were all like 50% owned. And Sam Travis was coming in at 15% ownership, which I thought was a little silly because he was really, really cheap, and he crushes lefties. And he gets another one here, and I do like Sam Travis a lot. I have him as a core play as long as he's in the lineup and batting around 6th. And at second base, we have Jose Altuve, 5,100 versus Daniel Norris. Jose Altuve has been amazing versus left-handed pitching this season, one of the best in the league, up there with JD Martinez and Manny Machado. So I do think Altuve is a great part of that Astros stack. Even if you want to use him as a one-off, I don't mind that either. Then Ozzie Albies at 4,500 versus Caleb Smith. Caleb Smith's a pretty good pitcher, good strikeout rate, but Ozzie Albies is very good versus left-handed pitching. And Caleb Smith does have a high fly ball rate, so I do think Ozzie Albies is a pretty good play. And I'm looking at my Slack chat, and I guess Sonny Gray got out of that jam, so it's good for all of us Sonny Gray users. And then Joe Panik at 3,300 versus Adam Plutko. He's just a little too cheap here versus Plutko, who I don't really think is a very good pitcher. And I'm an Indians fan, so that's saying a lot there. So I do think Panik's a little too cheap there. And then at third base, we have Alex Bregman at 5,200 versus Daniel Norris. He just crushes lefties in his career and this year. And if I have to pick one Astro to play, it's probably going to be Alex Bregman. And Mike Moustakas at 4,100 versus Adam Wainwright. Adam Wainwright has not been a total gas can this season, but he is a little bit worse versus lefties. I shouldn't say a little bit. He is worse versus lefties. Mike Moustakas is pretty good versus righties. He had 2 pretty good games in a row there, then cooled off last game because, Dakota Hudson just went ham. But I do think he's pretty cheap here and in a good spot. And Hunter Dozier, 4,900. Aaron Brooks is not a good pitcher, and Hunter Dozier is very good versus righties. And the Baltimore bullpen is awful, so I think Dozier's in a good spot, as well as guys like Jorge Soler, Whit Merrifield. I don't have a lot of Royals listed. Actually, I guess I have 3, but I didn't want to put Jorge Soler in there over Mookie Betts or JD or Christian Yelich, but I do think he's in a good spot. Then shortstop, Alex Bregman, we talked about him. Nicky Lopez, 3,100. Is he going to hit high in the order? No. Is he a good power hitter? No. but I do think he offers us enough value, and he should be able to get value. He should get a couple hits or two. Now, didn't he get a home run in the one game? So, I mean, maybe we get a cheapie here, but I think he's okay. Xander Bogaerts 5,100 versus Drew Smyly. Just love all the Red Sox here. Then in the high-priced outfield, we have JD Martinez leading the way versus a lefty. And yeah, Drew Smyly, 5-ball pitcher. He does have an okay strikeout rate, but JD Martinez crushes lefties, one of the best in the entire league, just like Jose Altuve, but JD's got a lot more power, so I do like JD. Christian Yelich at 5,600 versus Adam Wainwright. Same reasons I like Moustakas, but it's Christian Yelich. Mookie Betts, just like the whole Red Sox team, and if I like the whole Red Sox team, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't like Mookie Betts. In the mid-range outfield, we have Michael Conforto, 4,600. He actually just hit a 2-run shot, I think, a little bit ago, which sucks because, I'm an Indians fan. But Conforto is very good versus righties. Plutko's not a very good pitcher, and makes sense to me. Sam Travis, where he talked about George Springer. I guess he's really not a mid-range guy, but this is my channel, so I can do whatever I want. So I stuck him in here since he's in that 4 range. And he's just really good versus lefties. He had that leadoff homer today, so no reason not to like George Springer. And he's usually in the 5K range, so there's a tiny bit of value there. And then in the value outfield, so this is one of the ways I think we can play Justin Verlander and Julio Teheran without, punting to Adrian Hauser. As long as he's in the lineup, he had the day off today, but if he's leading off versus Adam Wainwright at 2,600, I mean, that's just an absolute lock of a play. And then Alex Gordon, 4K, cheap lefty versus Aaron Brooks. Then if you go to the core plays and top stacks, we got Justin Verlander at 12K, Sam Travis at 4,100, and as long as he's in the lineup, Grisham at 2,600 is just an amazing value there. And then the top stacks for me are going to be the Astros, the Red Sox, the Mets, the Brewers, specifically the lefties, the Royals, and the Orioles. I have 0 Orioles listed, but I could see them having a pretty decent game versus Mike Montgomery, who just is not a very good pitcher. And yeah, I think that's going to do it. So that's going to be it. Remember to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the new videos. In the comments below, your favorite batter of the entire slate, no matter what salary. And I wish you guys the best of luck and have a great Wednesday. I think tomorrow's Wednesday. I hope so. Yeah, it is.